Thank you, Councillor. Mr. Moy.
Yeah, Alex, I was at Home and you gave a presentation there, and a presentation / consultation with the Hawke, and they went away from that day not less happy, but more happy that they were informed. And I would say that basically the people behind the councillors here would like a consultation type 3 rather than waiting until you find oil, because, and from the company's point of view, it may be advantageous rather than wait till there's a huge wave of against your companies, to let them be informed of the processes. Because the people of Ngāti Kere and indeed the general public at Prongaho went away with a lot of the questions answered, and just wanting more information, as you said. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, that's a good steer. Councillor Remiswell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and you'll be pleased to know I think I've managed to boil my names of questions down to about five. Is that okay?
Let's have a go.
Let's go.
Now, I understood actually just on that last one that climate change was covered under the RMA, the Resource Management Act.
It is. I mean, we're talking about something that potentially is in the future. The answer that was given is to deal with consents as they come. The first one is for exploration. Am I correct? But I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chair, that's correct. Bryce, do you want to just drop in there? There is actually some control of oil extraction processes. So it's not something the council, not something the local government deals with. We manage effects of the activity. And we've got to be quite clear about that. So we don't have jurisdiction to suddenly say production of oil creates the potential for climate change effects into the future. That's just not within the scope of their jurisdiction. But Ross, do you just want to add something around Crown Minerals legislation?
Excuse me, your voice, you fade off. It's hard for us to hear the last portions every time.
Sorry.
The permit that authorises the exploration is a permit that the government has issued to allow the resource to be removed from the ground. So by issuing a permit under the Crown Minerals Act, the government has said you're allowed to take that oil from under the ground. And just repeating what Ian said to the gentleman that couldn't hear it, is that the RMA is dealing with the effects of the activity. There's nothing in the RMA to talk about regulating extraction of oil. It deals with discharges and it deals with drilling holes and those sorts of activities, but not the extraction of oil. That's under the Crown Minerals Act.
Councillor Remiswell.
Okay, so the 5 things I want to cover is renewable energy, Apache, earthquakes, the moratorium and water. And Mr. Ferguson, you might be aware that the United States International Energy Agency reports that we have 5 more years of fossil fuel use at current levels before the planet goes into irreversible climate change, and also that fracking has a greenhouse gas footprint larger than that of coal. So my question is your firm actually looking at renewable sources of energy as well as gas and oil for the future?
I'd have to get back to you, I'm not sure. I'm in an exploration in the company. So it's, I can get you that information, be happy to provide it to you. It's a fairly large company and I'm sure there are investments. I don't read all of the in-house newsletters that come through, and I could say yes, but I may be incorrect. I could say no, I may be incorrect. So I promise I'll get you that information.
Thanks for your answer. Can I also ask, this is actually a question from Pauline Tangiora. Did the Apache Nation give permission for you to use their name?
I'll give you a bit of history on the Apache name. It did not come from that. It came from when the company was very small, apparently, long before my time. The company founders had the initials that corresponded to the name. They had a company contest, if you want, as to what name to give the company. So it had no relation to the Apache Nation in there. But if you, I can offer you, if you go online, you can find in several states in the U.S. Literally hundreds of thousands of companies that are called Apache something or other. There's a rock band called Apache. I know that because I've been asked this question before. You know, we work in the States. We have great relationships with the different nations that are down there and in Canada. My experience more in Canada. You know, I'm quite confident that the Apache Nation does not take offense by somebody using that name. I think it is a North American name for their people.
So you don't have a relationship with those people as such?
I'm sure we do, because we operate probably in their territory in the States. Again, I want to emphasize I'm not, my operating base is from Canada right now, not the U.S. So I can get you that information if you're interested.
Thank you. Okay, earthquakes. If you were here the other day, we had a small earthquake, 4.3, and of course, in Christchurch, it's disaster territory. This is a fragile tectonic plate that we're on here. And other countries, including parts of the United States and United Kingdom, and I think other areas, have actually banned the use of fracking because they've found a connection between fracking and causing earthquakes. What's your company's policy on the connection between fracking and earthquakes?
We have contributed and continue to contribute to some of the universities that are studying those kind of effects. To my knowledge, and we monitor these things pretty closely, obviously, none of the bans on fracking that are out there are as a result of the seismicity connection. For example, the UK is one of the places that we're aware of, clearly. What we've looked at here, just so you know, is because there's a lot of good experts in the different parts of government here on that. Obviously, it's a long history, so we've actually started to look at a lot of the data that's there that'll inform our potential drilling programs. That's something that we'll dive into as we go through the technical parts of the process.
Right, okay. Now, the water issue, fracking uses a great deal of water, and as a result produces some contaminated water, which needs to be dealt with. And also, one of the risks is that it might contaminate groundwater. That's one of the big fears, and there have been cases where the connections that has happened. Obviously, this is something that really concerns people greatly. What's your take on dealing and being safe with our water?
We've been, first of all, I'll tell you, we appreciate that sensitivity because we have it everywhere. So it's not a surprise, obviously. We spent a lot of time as we shared information with the different people that we've talked with about this around the well construction techniques that we have as our standard practice for Apache. I think we've provided that to all the councils, and they'll see that again through the consenting process. And a lot of the issues that have happened historically with that have not really been anything more than really poor well construction practices. So we have provided a lot of that detailed information to the groups we've talked to. Be happy to send it along again. It will come in with our drilling program. I'm sure council will want to assess it properly with whatever people they need, independent assessments. So we're not in the business of drilling for water, so we're really not interested in seeing a lot of water as part of our process. The fracking that I mentioned, if we do have to frack here, I appreciate there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of concern. Again, I want to emphasize it's in the order of magnitude of about a is more of a tight oil play, if you want to call it that. The rock is fairly permeable. We believe it's fairly well naturally fractured. You know, we're not in the business of spending money completing and testing or stimulating a reservoir that we don't have to, because it's just a lot of money for no reason. So, but again, we won't know until we're down there.
And dealing with the wastewater aspect?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, just for, excuse me, for clarification on that issue raised by Councillor Remsart, the protection or prevention of adverse effects on underground water resource would be a major part of the responsibility of this regional council in its consenting for boards.
Most certainly, yeah, you're getting into consent questions, Councillor. One more and I have another couple of questions.
Oh, did you answer that last one about the wastewater?
Can you repeat it?
The last question.
Oh, and the moratorium one as well after that.
One or the other.
Okay, well,
We need to wrap
I
up,
will ask
Councillor.
you about the moratorium aspect. There have been calls for moratorium, which would presumably, if the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment would do an independent study into the use of fracking and then make a determination whether it's safe or not, and then to proceed from there with that. So how would your company feel about if there was to be a moratorium on fracking in the meantime?
If that's the law that's here, we would follow that. In terms of, you know, our investment, our potential investment here, you know, the 3-phase program, we're looking at about $125 million. Clearly, if moratorium said, well, anything, no oil and gas, then clearly you don't have an investment. So again, I'll go back to if that's what happens, if this council or any other council says we're not giving you a consent to do any of the part of the process, then obviously we're not doing it. You know, I don't know how you know how I personally would feel. It depends on the weather out there at that time. It'd be disappointing not to be able to come down here, but you know that's the nature of the game. That's part of the risk profile that we look at. And if government wants to change, I will, if I could. There was one question that started maybe related around you know the production and the greenhouse gas piece. It's kind of all swirling around. If you have, you may want to talk to the central government folks at MED. What we have here is an exploration permit. It's not a production permit, you know, in terms of the piece there. So in order for us to turn this into a development, a production environment, there has to be a process through central government to grant a production permit over on top of, and then the exploration permit soon goes away. So the permit we have from central government is to do exploration, not produce oil and gas. Now, I will tell you though that obviously for testing there's going to be some product. So don't assume for a moment there's not going to be a truck or two, you know, product that has to go somewhere because we have to put it somewhere. So just, and that may help your thought when you talked about the longer term. If you're producing oil, there are questions to be answered and around the greenhouse gas piece, and that's, you know, an energy balance question for New Zealand, all those kind of things that are probably more lined up with what happens with getting to a production permit.
Thank you. Councillor Fondato.
Chairman, could I just ask quickly, could you please request that cell phones are turned off to continue electronic briefing?
We were just about to come to Councillor Fondato.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to ask staff just to confirm, I do know the answer to, but I suspect a lot of people don't know the answer. And that is, can this council refuse to deal with an application for a consent as in front of us at the moment, which is, as I understand it, an exploration permit or board?
Short answer is no.
Thank you.
Okay.